listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Finding out that you sold our Bitcoin when we needed that for something that I wanted to use it for. Bitcoin was high and I thought it was a good time to pay off a large chunk of our mortgage. I was just excited to log into my account and see how much it had grown. And then I go and I see that it's gone. So, shock, major shock. And he sold it when it was much lower than it is now. So, of course, I was very angry. You don't do that without having a discussion. That's what bothered me. The worst part was that you had sold it years ago. And that's what was so upsetting. And then that spiraled into learning about all the other that you've been hiding from me. He had, some other bills from our previous business that he needed to clear up, and we went into debt because of it. I thought we were out.
Could you imagine, guys, going to log in to view your Bitcoin because you wanted to pay off a large amount of your mortgage? She doesn't give us a number, but I'm assuming her mortgage is probably pretty large. So whatever the amount of Bitcoin that she thought she had to have been a relatively large amount. So she goes to log in and there's nothing in the account. Can you imagine what she must have gone through, like mentally? Now we know why she was upset about Jenna not paying her back for the Uber, because I don't think it's Jenna that's having problems with money. I think it might be Erin. And after hearing her share this information with us, it makes me wonder if that's why they moved. She initially said it was because it was too far to take the kids to school every day and it was like coming from Connecticut. But maybe it has something more to do with she thought they had all this money that she was going to be able to pay down their mortgage. And I'm assuming it's the mortgage on the Hampton's house, because I think they were just renting in New York. And then she turns around and she can't pay it off. I don't know. I'm just speculating. And then she tells us that after she found out the Bitcoin was gone, she started finding out all these other things that Abe was keeping from her. I hope whatever money she receives from her dad's passing, the money that she inherits, she figures out a way to safeguard it so he can't touch it. Like put it in an account where he absolutely cannot spend it in any way. Something definitely seems off with Abe's story, and I don't really trust it. On that note, guys, thanks for tuning in to Reality Wrap. Today I'm going to be recapping last night's episode of The Real Housewives of New York, Season 15, Episode 2. Not gonna lie, last night's episode, other than the stuff we find out with Erin and Abe, was not that interesting. These ladies are really gonna have to step it up because we're now into the second episode, and this one was definitely not as interesting as the premiere, and the premiere wasn't that interesting. So, and it doesn't appear that a lot of people are watching this show. I know the live ratings for viewers was like 177,000, and I know Bravo says, oh, that's because everybody is watching it streaming like the next day, but the Real Housewives of Potomac season premiere for live viewing was 500,000. So people are still definitely watching things live. They're just not watching The Real Housewives of New York live. And maybe it's because right now we have so many different franchises that they brought on. I don't know why they have 4 running right now. We literally went from 1 to now 4. We have Orange County, New York, Potomac, and Salt Lake City. So maybe people don't have time to watch all 4, so they're just picking their most favorite ones, which is not New York. Maybe it'll get better as the season goes on and people will start watching it more, especially if Orange County falls off. I don't know how many episodes are left to Orange County. I'm not watching it, but I can't imagine it's that many. And I know they just shot the reunion, I think on Sunday. So it has to be winding down. So maybe as people stop watching Real Housewives of Orange County, they'll start watching New York. I don't know. But if these numbers continue to kind of stay in the lower 100,000s, I can't imagine these guys will be around for next season. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the recap. We see Erin meeting up with her mom at a wig store because her mom is just starting chemo. In solidarity, Erin has cut her hair to the same length as her mom and has also agreed to wear a wig with her mom. Uba joins them. She tells us that she was the first person that Erin called when when she found out that her mom had cancer and had to do this chemo. So obviously these two are really close friends and are actually real friends off camera, because all of this took place off camera and we're just hearing about it while they're filming. Uba asks Erin how she's doing after last night, and Erin tells her, I don't understand why Brynn is doing the things that she's doing to me, especially because she knows my mom is sick. Erin feels like Brynn did this on purpose and is purposely trying to affect her relationship with Jenna. Apparently, Jenna had shared with the group at one point in time when they were in Anguilla that sometimes the money was dry, and that when Erin told Brynn about how Jenna didn't pay for the Uber, she thought or connected it to, oh, I guess maybe because Jenna had told us that sometimes she wasn't making money or didn't have a lot of money, that is what Erin was saying, that she was having money problems. Erin compares it to the cheese story from last season and how Brynn does shit like this all the time and always changes the story. Uba asks Erin about Abe, and she tells Uba that Abe had made some decisions without her, and she found out about it while she was dealing with her mom's cancer, and so she was super mad at him, so she wasn't able to lean on him. Obviously, she's talking about the Bitcoin thing. Sai and Jenna meet up for lunch, and Sai is in the process of figuring out where her daughter is going to go to high school. Jenna shares with her that when she first started going to college, it really stressed her out, and she would sit in her room and drink tequila. Sai tells Jenna that she is in a really good space right now, and she really does like Jenna, and she really appreciates her conversations, and she really didn't mean to lose her temper the other night when she found out that Brynn was the one who told Jenna that Sai hates her. Jenna says, well, wait a minute. Don't just base getting mad at Brynn off of that, because she wasn't the only one who told me that you hated me. I was hearing it from other people. So obviously, Sai was telling multiple people that she didn't like Jenna. How did she not remember saying that she didn't like her and Erin had to remind her in her texts? That seems a little suspect to me now. Sai tells Jenna that it just set her off when she heard that it was Brynn, because her and Brynn had been so close, so it was really hurtful to her. I'm also kind of confused because didn't she say that she had not seen or talked to Brynn since last reunion? So at this point, if Brynn told Jenna, her and Sai weren't really close anymore, because obviously Brynn wasn't talking to her. I don't know. I'm a little confused on the timeline here. Jenna thinks that both she and Brynn are very guarded, and that is why they won't discuss things that are bothering them. Sai's like, I've tried to meet with Brynn, but she won't meet with me. And apparently Sai had sent Brynn a message telling her about how she was feeling, and Brynn didn't respond, but it did show that she read it. She feels that Brynn gets away with going off on everybody because she does it off camera, and they all just let it go. And then Sai shares a text that Brynn had sent the group where she called herself carbon monoxide because she's invisible, odorless, and sucks the life out of you before you're even aware of it. I wouldn't really be bragging about that, Brynn. That doesn't really paint you in a positive light. It really does kind of paint her in a light of she's sneaky and manipulative, and people don't really realize what's going on until it's too late. Jenna tells her that she thinks that Brynn will not respond to somebody who's being aggressive, that you need to be soft and gentle with her. Sai's like, why should I be soft when she's the one who's hurting me? Then Jenna makes a good point. She tells her, I was soft with you when you were talking shit about me. I will say this about Jenna. She gives these women a lot of grace. It's pretty clear that Sai was talking mad shit about her, not to just Brynn, but to multiple people, as we found out. And clearly she's forgiven her, or at least moved on enough where she could sit down and have a conversation and have lunch with her. Over at Raquel's house, they're making a family recipe for her daughter's school. And we find out that Mel is a forensic neuropsychologist. Did I say that right? And caters to the dog because of this. I had to go and look up what that was. I guess what they do is they diagnose and treat people with brain injuries or mental health issues or neurological disorders, and sometimes they're called into court. So I guess she brings that home and she applies that to the dog, who, while she's sitting there, says, oh, he's suffering from anxiety right now. Raquel lists like all the things off that Mel apparently does for the dog. He has cologne. I didn't even know that was a thing for dogs. I can't imagine they actually like cologne because dogs have really sensitive smells. I know when I spray my perfume, my one dog, Odin, will rub his nose on the ground because he doesn't like the way it smells. Of course, he walks through it every single time I spray it. I don't know why he hasn't learned. but he doesn't like it, that's for sure. I guess she's gotten him acupuncture. He's gone to see a therapist for his past trauma. So it sounds like she does cater to this dog a little bit. Raquel has to make his food from scratch, and that she spends all of her time cooking food for the dogs. When it's time for the kids to eat, she just tells them to go out and eat Chipotle. I hope we get more of Raquel and Mel's personal life. I actually find them pretty interesting to watch. I think they have a really great dynamic together. I definitely find them way more interesting than Jenna's home scenes of cleaning out her closet. Over at Bryn's house, she's getting ready for Erin to come over. She starts to grab a bottle of bottled water and decides that Erin doesn't deserve bottled water. So she goes and fills up her glass with tap water. Kind of a weird flex, but I guess Bryn's pissed, so she doesn't deserve bottled water. So Erin comes into Bryn's apartment. Brynn doesn't even get up or welcome her or anything. She is sitting on her couch looking at her phone, and she just says, "What's up?" and keeps looking at her phone. It's super awkward. Erin comes in and she sits down, and Brynn again just says, "What's up?" Erin starts to tell her that she has been feeling very overwhelmed with everything going on with her mother, and she doesn't remember what she said to Brynn the other night, but if she had said something wrong. And then Brynn chimes in, it's like, "Oh, do you need me to remind you?" And Erin tells her, "Listen, I'm trying to explain to you and apologize, and you are being condescending." Brynn brings up how Erin just sat there when Cy was going off on her. And Erin's like, "I had nothing to do with that. Cy overheard us talking and came over and started yelling at you." Erin brings up what happened on the Jeff Lewis show again, how she should have stopped it sooner. I don't know why Erin is exactly apologizing. We saw the clip. She did not say anything. And Jeff Lewis just implied that he thought somebody was financially paying for Brynn. And Erin just said, "You do?" That's it. So I guess she's apologizing because she feels like maybe she should have said something like, "No, that's not true." Maybe that's why she's apologizing, and she didn't. She just said, "Oh, you do?" I don't know. I don't really think Erin owed her an apology. I also think that most of the women do think that Brynn has a sugar daddy. That's probably why she didn't say anything. She wasn't going to confirm or deny that Brynn has a sugar daddy. Silence is golden, right? Brynn then apologizes for making it awkward between Jenna and Erin. She tells Erin that she didn't go over to Jenna's house to talk about Erin, but Jenna was the one who actually brought up the Jeff Lewis thing and told her that it was really messed up of what Erin said.
My heart was really broken from you because I felt like...
Your heart was
Yes,
broken?
it was, because I felt like you went to Jenna to try and break up my friendship with her.
No offense. I didn't go to Jenna to talk about you. She asked me, she said, "Did you forgive Erin?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Wow, that was quick," because I did forgive you quickly. She goes, "It was really messed up what she said. You forgave her?" And I said, "You know what? I forgive Erin because Erin says stupid shit about people's money. Case in point, she said, you're having money problems." But I shouldn't have said it, period. I said it to put me and Jen in the same boat, that we're just, people are talking dumb shit about us. If anything, the ego part of that conversation was, I think I felt of Jenna being like, "Really? You forgave her?" I think I felt embarrassed that I forgave you so quick.
Again, Erin did not say anything on the Jeff Lewis show. So I don't know how Jenna could have even said that it was really messed up about what Erin said, because Erin didn't say anything. I actually wonder if Jenna even said that to Brynn, or if Brynn just made that up as well. We're now over at Jenna's. She is going rock climbing with her son and her assistant. Jenna is terrified because she has a fear of heights. I actually took rock climbing in college. It was super fun. They talk about going to college and how she thinks that he should go far away to go to school, and that her ultimate dream would be for him to go to Berkeley. Once they're done rock climbing, Jenna has apparently had her new Bentley delivered to the place where they're rock climbing. So they go outside and the Bentley pulls up, and she tells us that it's a hybrid so she can afford to fill the tank. We're now with Erin and Abe, and they go to dinner. Abe asks Erin how her conversation with Brynn went, and she tells him that it went really well. And apparently she's going to have all the girls to the Hampton house again, and she hopes it goes well, because last time was not so great. As we know, the heat went out. She didn't feed them anything. Her toilet paper was scratchy. She's worried because they're in the middle of redoing the kitchen, that the kitchen might not be finished in time for them to come up, and there might not be any water. She then tells him that she's at a place in her life where she works really hard and she just wants to have fun. And this is why she got mad at him earlier this year. I don't know how the two tie together, but this is where I played that clip from the beginning of the podcast. She tells us that Abe sold their Bitcoin without telling her, and she was holding on to it so she could sell it and pay off a portion of their mortgage. And when she logged into the account, it was gone. What really upset her is that he had done it years before, and he had sold it when it was very low and not at its current rate. After that, she found out they still had bills from a previous business that she thought they had cleared up. He tells us that he didn't tell her everything because he didn't want to add to the stress of what they were going through, which very well could be the case, but I don't know. I don't really trust Abe. I also can't believe that he agreed to filming this scene with her and actually having to sit and admit what he did. She must have held his feet to the fire and told him, you really screwed up bad, so you're going to have to admit this on TV so I have a story. At least she's sharing it with us and she's not trying to hide it. I will say that about Erin. So far, she's really the only one who's giving us a whole lot about what's really going on in her life. Who would have ever thought I would say that this season? Because last season, I could not stand Erin. And now here I am saying that she's the one who's the only one who's giving us something. They talk about how they need to communicate better, and he tells her that he feels like they don't really communicate well because they didn't really know each other when they got married. And she tells him, yeah, I know, I didn't want to get married. What? That's interesting. She tells him, I was flying around with somebody she doesn't name. And she's like, I got to do all that without sleeping with anybody. And he just gives her a look kind of like, yeah, right. He then tells us that he feels a lot of pressure to provide a certain lifestyle.
I feel a great deal of pressure to provide a standard of living she wanted. And so I'm working my ass off to provide a certain lifestyle. And when I'm under pressure, I can make mistakes.
So we get a pretty good peek into their marriage. He talks about how they really didn't know each other very well when they got married. She talks about how she didn't even really want to get married, that she was used to flying all around on a jet somewhere by some person that isn't named, and she didn't have to sleep with anybody. He clearly doesn't believe her by the look on his face. Then he tells us that he feels pressure to provide a certain lifestyle for her, and that he has to work really hard at it, and sometimes he messes up. I don't know, maybe then after I've just talked through it, maybe he really was hiding those things from her because he was scared of her reaction that he had to pay off all these bills still. I don't know. The verdict's still not out for me on Abe. I literally went from he's hiding something from her, that's why he sold the Bitcoin, to now maybe he was trying to protect her because he feels this pressure to provide a certain lifestyle. Could I be any more wishy-washy? Whatever. We're now with Uba, and she's meeting up with Sai to go shopping. She comes into the store and she's looking at jewelry, and she tells the salesperson that she told her boyfriend that she wants a yellow diamond if he's going to propose to her, and that a couple of weeks later he came back to her and told her that they were the most expensive diamond. And she's like, oh, really? So he must be looking into proposing to her if he went out and looked at yellow diamonds, which at that point, I feel like we need to meet him because she has been talking about him a little bit in this episode when she was telling her trainer that she wants to try for a baby in 8 months. Now she's telling the sales lady that she wants a yellow engagement ring, a yellow diamond engagement ring. So I'm hoping we get to meet him this season. Sai comes in and she tells her Oliver is the only stable thing in her life. And Sai's like, oh, I'm so happy for you, but I really do feel like you're a little off. You're not your normal chipper self. And Uba tells her, yeah, I don't really like seeing people twist other people's words, and brings up how Erin had told Brynn about Jenna not paying for the Uber and that it wasn't really her story to tell, but how dumb was she to go to Brynn, who's the master manipulator, who immediately ran to Jenna and told her what Erin said. So obviously, Uba also doesn't trust Brynn. In fact, I think she says every time something like this happens, she takes like 10 steps back away from Brynn, and at this point she's in a different country. Uba then brings up how Brynn was the one who brought up her boyfriend on camera when it was Sai who was the only one that knew about it. Now, in Brynn's defense, Sai was the one who told Brynn. Uba had told Sai in confidence. Sai turned around and told Brynn, but Brynn, being the big blabbermouth that she is, turned around and brought it up on camera. Uba thinks that Brynn is the one that is not loyal because Sai has always been there for her, and then Brynn Brynn turned around and repeated something that Sai had told her in confidence. I mean, we could say the same thing about Sai because she turned around and told Brynn about Uba's secret boyfriend. One really doesn't absolve the other, but I guess it does in Uba's eyes. Uba also thinks that when other people start to get close, Brynn feels threatened, and that's when she starts getting messy, which is also what Erin and Sai have said. So now we've got 3 people saying that. They start talking about going up to Erin's Hampton house, and I guess all the ladies are going to take a helicopter. Uba says she's going to drive, which I do not blame her. I also would not get in a helicopter. I guess if my life depended on it, I would get in a helicopter, but other than that, I'm not getting in a helicopter. Sai asks her if she's not going to go in the helicopter because she doesn't want to be with the other girls, and she's like, no, if I didn't want to be with the other girls, I just wouldn't go. Sai says, well, I'll go with you because I also do not want to go in a helicopter. It's now the day that they're all going to the Hamptons. Brynn, Jessel, and Rebecca arrive to the helipad. The woman at the helipad seems completely annoyed with these guys. Brynn comes in and asks her to change the sign to "Let's Blade Skank" or something like that. And the lady was like, okay. And then when Jessel comes in, Jessel's trying to walk through the door with her umbrella open, which is wider than the door. And the lady's like, I think we need to put this down. I was like, oh my God, this poor woman. Brynn brings up how Uba and Sai are going to drive. And Jessel tells her, as soon as I saw the weather and that it was cloudy, I knew that Sai was not going to fly on the helicopter. Brynn thinks it's because Sai doesn't want to be around her.
Sai doesn't want to be around me.
But don't you feel like if you just brush it over?
No, I don't care. You screamed at me and I forgive you. I don't want to fight. I want to get drunk and have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a party girl. I'm not like this, like, let's sit down and like stab each other.
But here's the thing, you guys were so close, right? From what Sai told me.
Yeah.
It was so close.
But she keeps screaming at me in public for no reason, telling me to go myself. What is that? This is New York. This is Manhattan. It's not Rikers Island.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny here where she calls herself a party girl. I'm like, girl, you're 38 years old. At some point, the party needs to stop. I do get what Brynn is saying about Sai screaming at her in public. We've seen it quite a few times where Sai completely loses her shit and starts screaming at her. But Brynn does keep opening her mouth to stir the pot. So ultimately, I don't feel super bad for her. At some point, you have to lay in the bed you make. They decide to FaceTime Jenna to find out where she is because they're sitting there waiting for her. And I'm not sure what's going on with Jessel this season. While they're waiting for Jenna to pick up her FaceTime, Jessel says, I love those few seconds before the person answers so I can just sit there and look at myself. I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? This is kind of a different Jessel that we're seeing this season compared to last season. And I really hope that the fame isn't getting to her head. So Jenna answers and she tells them that she's in the car. And they're like, oh, on the way here? And she says, no, I'm driving to the Hamptons. And they're like, well, we're sitting here waiting for you. And she's like, I didn't realize I was supposed to tell you guys that I was driving. I was like, how do you not realize you're supposed to tell somebody that you're not going to fly on the helicopter? I'm assuming they sent out a group text and were like, hey, we're taking a helicopter. And those who weren't going to go on the helicopter said, I'm going to drive, like Uba and Sai. But I guess just didn't occur to Jenna. Anyway, she tells them that she wants to drive her new Bentley up to the Hamptons. So it's just Brynn, Jessel, and Rebecca Minkoff that are going on the helicopter. So they get on. Brynn asks Rebecca if people start to ask them about the Scientology stuff, what does she want them to say? Rebecca says, tell them no comment, and that she's actually currently getting emails from the Daily Mail about running an article about her that she's the Scientologist. Brynn's like, well, that's great that you can tell people no comment, but that doesn't work. So Rebecca tells her that she tells people to go read the book. I'm guessing she means a book about Scientology. Is there a Scientology book? I don't know. You would think that she would take the opportunity to educate somebody about her religion if she's not hiding anything, instead of telling them, you want to know, go read the book. So I went out and did a little research because I hadn't really looked into Rebecca Minkoff until just today. Apparently, Rebecca's father, Dr. David Minkoff, was a Florida-based high-ranking Scientologist, has been accused of medical malpractice in the suicide death of Whitney Mills 2 years ago. Whitney, another top Scientologist, was suffering from severe depression and anxiety, was misdiagnosed with cancer and Lyme disease, according to her family, who went on to file a sensational lawsuit against the Church of Scientology. The family also accused David of extorting Whitney for more than $20,000 for highly questionable available alternative treatments rather than properly treating her. The Mills family said that Whitney took her life because she was struggling with mental illness, which was not being treated at the time due to Scientology's teachings for not allowing it. Their filing alleged that the Scientology defendants brainwashed her into believing that mental health professionals, including psychologists and psychiatrists, and related medical treatments such as antidepressants and other prescription drugs were unnecessary. The family revealed upon learning of her problems, the Scientology defendants took control of Mills' medical care, thus foreclosing her from obtaining the exact treatment she needed and sending her to an alternative medicine doctor who misdiagnosed her with cancer and Lyme's disease and extorted her for a series of alternate treatments of little to no unity for a person suffering from severe depression and anxiety. He was also involved in another lawsuit, a wrongful death lawsuit in 1998, which he settled out of court for $100,000, and I believe his medical license was suspended for a whole year. So that's kind of interesting. I'm surprised that she would willingly go onto a reality TV show with this kind of stuff within her family. She had to know that this would come out. I wonder what the Church of Scientology thinks of all of this, with her going on the show with her father having these different lawsuits brought up against him and being tied to the church. Anyways, it seems like Jessel kind of tries to play the whole thing down, and she thinks that people just like to talk about Scientology because it is so celebrity heavy. And then Rebecca adds in that it is recognized all around the world as a religion and that there's nothing secret about it. We then get all the producers asking each person what they think about Scientology.
Do you have any opinions about Scientology?
Not really.
Actually, John Travolta. Oh, I can't say this on camera. Never mind.
No, come on.
I can't. No, I can't. I actually can't.
Every single religion or organized religion has an extreme version of it. And if you only look at that, that's actually not really a fair assessment.
So maybe you'll look into Scientology?
I have my religion. It's called ice cream and puppies.
Listen, the upside of it is at least Scientology has pretty looking celebrities.
This is not the time or the place for this conversation, but I feel like I'm talking to like a door-to-door salesman or something that's trying to sell me snake oil. Between us, you guys, it's weird.
I'm with Jenna. I like her religion of ice cream and puppies. And what's up with Jessel again? At least they have really pretty celebrities to look at. What is going on, Jessel? Next week, it looks like they're going to be in the Hamptons, and we see Uba and Brynn going at it. And it almost seems like Brynn is making fun of Uba's accent when she was like, in the clip that they showed. So I'm not sure what that's about. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I did not find this episode very exciting. Other than I thought the Abe and Erin stuff was interesting, which you never in a million years, if you listen to me recap last year, would have thought that I would have found Erin interesting. All right, kids, it's time for me to go. I'll be back later on this week with my recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So I'll talk to you then. Bye.